true healers. There's kind of a mechanic that's been built in to the other classes, or every class, I guess you could say. You want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, every class is basically their own support, their own damage. They can play a bunch of different roles. Everybody on their 6 key has their own heal. It can do multiple different things depending on what class you are. Like the Ellie, if they heal themselves, they can also get a boon or might, a higher chance to crit. It just really depends on what your play style is at that point, I guess.
All right, well, it appears that the red team is going to be the beta pod, and the blue team will be over here in the alpha pod. Why don't you take a look and tell us what kind of compositions these teams are actually utilizing right now?
It looks like the blue team is using, looks like an Ellie, a Ranger, and a Necro from what I can see right here, which works out pretty good for damage and overall survivability if they are able to use a lot of their movement skills. And it looks like the blue team is taking their first capture point right now. As you can see at the top of the screen there's 3 icons. Looks like red just got one. Blue's got the far end, looks like the windmill, and the center point is still neutralized. And so it looks like, as we can see here up top, there's a bunch of red guys coming in. They're flooding in the center, so it looks like we're going to have a really brutal, bloody fight in that area.
And now, is it similar to other games where the more players that you have at the capture points, the quicker you will be capturing them?
Yeah, the speed will definitely increase, but that's one thing that is a really big give and take. Are you really wanting to send all 5 in one capture point and put your other points at risk, or do you want to take more time capturing it and defend your other ones?
All right, well, it looks like red team is going to instantly take this spot. They did manage to get one down, and you may notice the whole concept that for those of you that are not familiar or may not have seen some of the previous showings of Guild Wars 2, can you explain to us a little bit about how the down system works?
Yeah, the down system is basically your last chance to survive. Once you go down, you've got a very limited amount of skills. The third skill will give you a second chance to kind of move and get some distance. The warrior is actually a really good one to make sure that you stomp him when he's down, because he actually will get back up, and while he's vengeanced, he'll actually gain a lot more damage and a lot more speed, so it can be very, very deadly to not stomp somebody.
All right, well, right now the red team is in a significant lead. They've got 103 points to 23 points. I'm going to head over here and just look over the look over the shoulders of our competitors. Does look like they've got a couple of warriors over on their side. We see an elementalist and a necro as well. Actually, a second elementalist.
It looks like the blue team, they need to start pushing pretty hard here. They're getting pretty swamped. The red team is actually able to keep them pinned down, and when you're pinning people down like that, they're not having the chance to actually contest any capture points. They're not able to take any capture points, and it does not look like they're getting many kills out of it either. Red team now 2 points. 1 point is neutral. The red team has all 3 points now. This is looking like it could be very bad for the blue team if they're not able to get mobile.
And we do have, of course, the more points that you have, the quicker you're going to be able to get points as well. It looks like we have a revival here as 2 warriors over on the red side actively working together, teaming up against 1 elementalist. They did manage to take one of them out, and 213 to 35 right now. As we see a lot of damage being thrown out here, I would say that I'm definitely seeing some good camaraderie and teamwork here by the red team.
Yeah, the red team really, they're sticking together when they need to defend those capture points, but they're also making sure that they got somebody out there in the field running around disrupting everything. And there's another blue guy down who's going to get finished off, it looks like. Oh, that's going to make the fight at 5-on-4, it looks like, in this tight little area.
So in a situation like this where you've got a team that's down by a significant amount of points, what sort of strategies can they use to just do they want to just try to get 1 point no matter what? Do they use 5 players to try to just put it back together and just at least get 1 point in their favor?
I think right now, I mean, it really depends on play style and coordination, but I think it's really important to get in these 2 capture points that Red's controlling and try and contest it, stop them from getting those points. You do get a minimal amount of points for kills, which makes it fairly easy to catch back up. But if you cannot get at least one capture point on the map, then it's just going to end up shutting down.
Well, 335 to 45 right now. The red team is certainly putting quite the beating here on the blue team on the Alpha Pods. Blue team trying everything they can, but it seems like every single time they get in a position for a new point, there's actually 2 or 3 red players just right there ready to answer and take care of things. So players are spawning back in. And can you also explain like some of the, as far as the Elementalist, how they're switching through the elements?
Yeah, the Elementalist actually has 4 different attunements that they can swap, each one giving them a bunch of different skills and utility. One of the biggest gameplays for the Elementalist is to constantly be attuning to different skills, so that way you're not struck by cooldowns, because once you're in Earth and you use all those skills, you really don't have much else to use unless you switch to fire or water or something along those lines. And each attunement has its own structure, I guess you could say, where if you're in water, you're going to be a lot more defensive. You're able to heal yourself a little bit. You're able to heal allies. Earth is going to give you some armor. It's also going to give you a little bit of crowd control attached to it. Now, when you see an Elementalist in fire, you can pretty much guarantee that they're going to start bringing down a lot of damage on top of you. Meteor Shower, Phoenix, there's a bunch of different damaging fire abilities.
So one thing I'm noticing certainly about the red team is that they seem to be very warrior heavy, whereas the blue team definitely a bit squishy. What can they do to combat against those thick warriors?
Well, one thing is definitely you want to keep your distance. When you see guys coming at you with big maces and you're a squishy caster, you don't really want to go up to him and give him a big bear hug. That's not going to work out too good for you. Another thing is the trebuchet. I'm not seeing a lot of trebuchet, if any trebuchet fire actually, done by the blue team, which is really great for scattering them and blasting them out of the radius, and really just great for assaulting and defending, depending on what the situation is. As we can see here, this is a Necro that's down now. If the Necro doesn't get finished off, this third skill here will actually help the allies. The fourth skill will give them a little bit of time left in down mode. Right now, an ally can easily run over, hold down the F key and revive him, but as right there, it didn't work out too good for him in the end. And it looked like it was a Necro trying to finish off a warrior in a down state. If the Necro was able to do that, they would have rallied and gotten right back up into the fight.
And we're just a few points away from possible victory over for the red team right now, 495 to 92. And we're about to hit 500 here in just a moment.
That
and there
will
it
do
is.
It.
The red
Good
team
job.
wins.
Great work by the red team, shutting them down early and just making sure that they weren't really able to regroup.